It's the Slam Dunk.
The wonders of working here. This report into abuse and care is unequivocal in its findings. And this Slam Dunk I'm going to do right now is confronting, and it comes with a warning about its content. Some might find this hard to digest. But without any doubt, our prisons are full today, almost without exception, because of what happened to these prisoners in their youth while in state care. I will explain what happened and what comes next shortly. But instead of receiving care and support, children, young people and adults in care were exposed to unimaginable physical, emotional, mental and sexual abuse, severe exploitation, neglect. Those practices continued as this inquiry was underway. Of the estimated 655,000 children, young people and adults in care from 1950 to 2019, it's estimated that 200,000 were abused. 200,000 were abused and even more were neglected. The true number will never be fully known, says this report. It goes without saying it's a national disgrace. And the same governments of the day were running around the world, the governments of the day, all our governments through this time, they ran around the world speaking about human rights at home. They talked about how great we were, yet at the same time we were abusing kids in their care and covering it up. My view is an apology on its own is not enough, no way. Abuse and neglect almost always started from the very first day a person was placed in care. Isn't that ridiculous and outrageous? It often continued the entire time a person was in that state care. For some people, this meant years or decades of frequent abuse and neglect. For some, it was a lifetime. For others, it led to an unmarked grave. This is what the report says. Once in care, Māori survivors experienced harsher treatment, more violence was involved. Intimidation, humiliation, physical abuse was prevalent right across the settings. In some cases, staff went to extremes to inflict as much pain as possible, using weapons, electric shocks. Staff often pitched children against each other, sat back and watched, encouraging peer-on-peer abuse. This involved vicious violent attacks and humiliation rituals, which staff ignored. Now, I've got two friends today who were in state care for certain periods as young men. They were brutal times. They often speak of the fights and being scared to live, but also being too scared to die. They went to bed shaking. Sexual abuse was commonplace. One of my friends was horrifically abused by his father, who was sent to jail. And my friend was sent into state care, only to be abused by the state. Once out, he was returned to his father, and the cycle repeated itself. He ran away from home to seek help, and he ended up in a gang, patched gang member of the headhunters. He ended up spending the next 30 years in and out of prison for heinous, brutal, violent crimes, which he's embarrassed about, and it's mostly violence-related. He's out now, thanks to the remarkable drug courts, who finally, with a solution, he got his life back on track. It was tough. But finally, they sent him down the health route, not the prison route. But he lost 40 years of his life due to how he started off his life. His father was jailed for it. The state's never paid any price. The perpetrators have never been named, let alone held to account. It's horrific. He now has 8 kids and a wife. He's clean, he's free, and it's nothing short of a miracle, and I'm really proud of him. But he's turned his life around. It's amazing. It's almost unrecognisable to where he was. Seriously, the drug court and its approach changed his life forever, and I'm proud of him. But boy, it's been some journey, and he's paid the ultimate price, hasn't he? Which started when 2 men, one being his dad, interfered with him. That's why this report into the abuse is so important. Successive governments and ministers and heads of government departments knew this was happening for decades, and they simply looked the other way. That is gross negligence. They ignored it. Now, should some of these people be held to account for failing to act? I bet they aren't. An apology is only the start of what's required here. Real accountability is tracking down the remaining perpetrators and putting them before the courts. Show the survivors that we mean business on this, and pay compensation, who knows, but to what level? To do it properly would bankrupt the country. I'm really clear about that. The figure of more than 200 billion is used in the report. That's the cost of this whole thing. That's larger than the entire GDP of our country this year, in this financial year. In 1 year, bigger than that. It's unfathomable. But an apology on its own feels not good enough. Compensation to whom and how much will haunt those in power for weeks and months, if not years, to come, I would have thought.
Duncan Garner.